Tonight I'm going to make some very special Irish beef stew. So I'm going to use a lot of different types of ingredients, making it from scratch. It looks like a lot, but a lot of this is stuff you probably have in your house anyway. You might have to only pick up an item or two to make this recipe. Let me show you what we're going to put in it, and I'll explain the steps. I'm going to start with some nice beef strips. These are actually stir-fry strips, but they're sirloin. So you could take a sirloin steak and cut it in strips too, or if you'd rather have chunks. But I like the strips because they thin out and they're really nice to eat in the stew. I'm going to mix that with some really hearty mushrooms. Now we really like mushrooms. You might not normally put this much in, but I think this goes wonderful with the beef. These are portobello sliders. They're really substantial mushroom, but they do shrink a lot. What I'm going to do is take out the stems and trim off some of the excess edges and cut them in slices to put in the stew like that. I'm going to use some of this pan-searing flour to brown the beef. I'm going to start that in a little olive oil. And the vessel that I'm going to use this in, I'm using the Ninja Foodi because it lets us use several functions at one time. Alright, the other things we're going to put in here are some chopped up onions and also some tomato paste, some diced tomatoes. I'm using the no salt added diced tomatoes, but you can use whatever kind or flavor you want, and we're going to include the juices in that. We're going to use some Italian herbs, fresh Italian herbs, which I have already chopped up in here. A little bit of beef broth and some carrots, a pound of carrots, a pound of baby red potatoes. I'm using a can of Guinness Stout. Then we're using a little of the balsamic vinegar glaze mixed with some cornstarch to add a little thickened sauce at the end. And to really top it off and get the best use out of this Ninja Foodi, we're going to put some biscuits on top and have some nice brown biscuits at the very end. Now, doesn't this sound like a great dinner? I think it is. So let's get started. I'm going to turn the Ninja on to the saute mode, and we're going to dredge the beef strips in the pan-searing flour. We're using the pan-searing flour because it's a very finely milled flour, and it also has some white pepper in this, and it gives a good flavor. Okay, let me get this thing turned on and I'll show you how we start it up. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the Foodi. This is how we're going to saute their beef strips. Now I already set this on the saute mode on high, and it's warming up, so we can get ready to dredge the beef into the pan-searing flour, and then we'll drop it into the hot oil. We're going to actually use three functions on the Foodi today. First, the saute, then we're going to cook it under pressure, and then we're going to cook it under tender crisp air fryer function, and that's going to cook the biscuits on top. Alright, take a look at this meat. Now, this is already sliced in strips. This is one big shortcut, is to buy this strips already sliced. And that's really nice meat. You don't have to do it that way, but it's very consistently cut.
I could have made my beef jerky out of it.
Yep. Alright, we're going to dredge it in the flour. Alright, I'm going to start sauteing with the meat. Alright, I'm going to dip these and fill up the pot, and I'll be back to show you as soon as they're all in there. Okay, take a look in the pot here. See how nicely the beef is browning? You don't want to really cook it all the way through. But we're going to just brown both sides Then we're going to start adding the other ingredients. So while this is finishing up, I'm going to start cutting up the onion and the mushrooms, and we'll be putting it all together. Okay, now I want you to take a look in the pot. This is how you want to be when we start adding the other ingredients. Some of it's brown, some of it's not totally cooked, but you can see the nice juices are starting to get into the pot there. We're going to take the onion, and I cut it in rather thick chunks, and I'm just going to separate the rings a little bit. It'll be like halves. You can get that in there. I used a nice big onion, and I used about 1.5 pounds of beef sirloin. Well, I think I forgot to mention on the table there, because I missed it, I have about 10 cloves of garlic. That may be a lot for some people, but to me, I want super flavors throughout this. Okay, now we're also going to add the carrots and potatoes. These are washed, and we're just going to throw them in. Okay. We're going to add in the can of diced tomatoes, steamed and peeled, and this is going to really tame down that sizzle. Now I'm leaving the saute mode turned on until I get everything in, because that keeps the pot nice and warm. Okay, let me finish chopping up the mushrooms, and we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take the can of Hunt's tomato paste. This is a small can. It's 6 ounces. I'm just going to place that in there, different spots. Now this makes the tomato flavor kind of robust. It's very thick and very intense. Alright, I'm going to also add the mushrooms. Now I just want to show you how I slice them. Now we like the fins to stay included because I think it makes a nice brown sauce, but these are beautiful mushroom slices. So I made them rather chunky, and they will shrink too. We're just going to throw all those in. Okay, now I'm going to add some beef broth. I'm going to add about 2 cups of beef broth, about half of this container, and I'm using organic beef broth from Wegmans. Okay. And the herbs we're going to add next. This is a blend of Italian herbs which are already chopped and lightly dried. They're beautiful and they work really nice for us. And then we're going to use the Guinness. Now, the Guinness has a little ball in there. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's supposed to be a nitrogen ball that keeps the draft stout more like it's from the tap. We're just going to pour this on, and we're going to let these flavors start to blend. Now I think that pot looks pretty full, but a lot of these vegetables will cook down. Hear that ball in there? That's pretty cool how they do that. Alright, now let's just stir it around a little bit so that everything gets covered in some of the juices. It doesn't matter what level everything is on, because the pressure in this pressure cooker will take care of getting everything distributed. When we open it up, we'll make sure that we get some of every kind of ingredient in the bowl when we serve it. Okay. Now we're going to add the pressure cooker lid. The lid you see on the side right here now is the Tender Crisp lid that air fries the food. But first we have to cook it under pressure. So we're going to make sure that we set the valve to the seal mode instead of the vent. And then this little red pin here will pop up when the pot comes up to pressure. Locks into place. You can see how nicely it lines up. Now we're going to stop this saute mode, and we're going to start the pressure mode. We want to put it on high, and we want to change the cooking time to be 45 minutes. And then we'll press start. When the pot comes up to pressure, it'll start cooking for 45 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to make the sauce that we're going to add at the end, and we'll get the biscuits ready so we can put them on and top it off when the stew is ready. Here's all we're going to do to make the sauce. A tablespoon of water, a tablespoon of the balsamic reduction, and you can just use regular balsamic vinegar if you have that, or a flavor vinegar you like, red wine vinegar or something like that. I use this because it's nice and thick already, and it's a robust flavor again. And about a tablespoon of cornstarch. And all I'm going to do is mix that up. And this is what we're going to add to the pot at the end. It just makes it a little bit thicker in the gravy part of the stew. That's easy, right? Okay, all we have to do now is wait for the stew to cook, and that won't be long. We'll be back. Okay, the cooking is done for the part under pressure, and it started going into a keep warm mode. So in case you're not right near it, when it ends, it'll start this keep warm mode to help you out and keep things nice and warm. The pressure is still in the pot, so I'm going to release it right now. That'll take a few minutes, and we'll be back, and we'll put the biscuits in. Okay, pressure's almost out. We're going to use the Grand's Southern Homestyle biscuits. This is 8 big biscuits in the can. Maybe you heard that pin drop. That means the pressure's out. Oh my gosh. Rick, come up here and look in this pot. Look at that. Oh my God. This looks fabulous. Mushrooms and beef and potatoes. And the broth looks really very nice. However, I'm still going to add this little thickening sauce that we made. And we're going to stir that in, because that'll be bubbling on the bottom while we're making the biscuits. Okay. Just to add a little bit extra thickness. Is that a beautiful stew? Wow. Wonderful. Okay, let's get these Grand biscuits in here. Popping fresh. Now this is one of the luxuries of shortcuts that I took for this meal, but you could make your own biscuits, of course. Woo! That's what I like to hear. Alright, we have 8 of these, so we're going to space them out. I'll start with one in the middle. Now we're just going to slide them around till we have them set evenly. Okay. Now on the directions it says to bake them at 375 for 15 minutes, or if you want thicker biscuits, bake them at 325 for 27 minutes. So since we're using an air fryer lid, it'll be very similar to that. Okay, we're going to turn this onto the air crisp mode, and it goes to 390 as a default, but we're going to take it down to 360. It's in the range that they asked for on the can. Then let's set the time for 20 minutes, but since it has a lift the lid to sneak a peek function here, you can peek in anytime you want. So we'll go with 20 minutes and we'll start. You can see the little red light here that shows that the air fryer lid, the tender crisp lid, is working now, and you can hear the air circulating in there. We'll be back to check it in about 10 minutes and see how they look. Okay, I'm going to sneak a peek here. Alright, they're getting done on the top side, so I think I'm going to turn the heat down because it looks like they're still not done on the bottoms. Alright, what I'm going to do here, since they're not getting done all the way through and the tops are getting crispy, I'm going to turn them over and let them air fry from that side. And we'll let the bottoms start soaking up the juices. This will work. They're halfway cooked, so we'll cook the other side. And I think that'll be great. Alright, let's go for more. Should I turn it down? Alright, since it browned pretty quickly, I'm going to turn the temperature down a little bit. And I'm going to go down to 325 for the rest of it. We're going to take a peek. I think it might be done. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. They came out beautiful, these biscuits. Flipping it over kept some of the brownness from the gravy. Look inside that biscuit. Oh my gosh, fluffy and perfect. Did you get a good view of that? Woo, that is nice. They're nice and crispy on top, just like Rick likes them. Let's serve them up here in the bowl. Alright, let's see if we can take a biscuit out of there and scoop out some nice beef stew. Wow. I wish you could smell it. I always wish you could smell the stuff that we make. But right here, I gotta get some more beef on this one. Here's the beef and mushrooms. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Is that a beautiful Irish beef stew? I hope you can try this in your Ninja Foodi. I'll put a link for Ninja Foodies in case you don't have one. But I think this is a nice recipe. It was made from scratch, and you think it only took a few minutes. The secret here is to really get your stuff ready ahead of time. Mise en place, it's called. Get everything ready and you can put these nice homemade meals together so quickly. Oh, lots of nice ingredients, and we'll add a nice biscuit to this one too. Wow. Oh, we're going to have good dinner tonight. Okay, try the recipe. Let me know how you like it. And thanks for watching the video.